peak in February last year, sort of the whole COVID crazy. And we saw a lot of that. What we're finding, you don't have agents so much working little particular areas anymore. What we're seeing, of course, is that even post-COVID, with people being able to, just work more remotely, that they're moving all over the place. So we're covering pretty much all of South and Central Ontario. And there's, for the most part, we can kind of look at an average price point in any area and say, if the house is nice and well kept and staged out, we know we're going to have more than one offer on the property. However, if it's, slightly overpriced or doesn't show great, it's probably going to sit longer. And then the days on market just starts to go out from there. We have a couple properties we've just sold for the second time we've had them listed. They were listed after February last year, pulled off, put back on, and sold this year. So we feel like things are picking up and getting better. We've definitely, even over the past week, seen a big increase in, the buyers coming out, offers, property selling. And at any given moment, we're carrying over 40 listings. So and that's everything, like leases all the way up to our $12 million apartment building in Peterborough, right? So I think we get a pretty good cross section of different properties, and it's just being really careful on your presentation, first of all. Like, we do a lot of prep, right? We'll go in and say, okay, does it need a little bit of painting? Does it need a few repairs? Definitely staging, professional photography, and we want to roll it out perfect as we can get it, right? And so for us, that means, as an agent, do you need to be steam cleaning carpets? Do you need to be out there, doing the work in their garden bed, getting it ready? Not all sellers are have the time, the ability, or the motivation to get some of those things done. So there's that sweat equity. And that's also part of your repeat referral business, right? Or, you guys know this, you both worked as realtors, and you want to be able to put that energy in where people say, wow, they really went above and beyond. And this is the market to be able to do that. So absolutely. I think it's great. Yeah.
I think it is good because it gives the agent a lot more work ethic, right? It's not just going in, listing it, taking pictures, and it sells with multiple offers. Now they actually have to work. And I think that's wonderful that you and your team do that. Yeah. How are you finding the inventory?
Inventory is low, but we look at that as an overall. Actually, I was just on a call with a bunch of people from the US. This is a North American problem, but even if you look at Canada, statistically, less homes offered on the market year over year since 2010 across all boards, right? Less housing starts, less homes being built. The cost of building is higher. And then we have 500,000 immigrants into Canada every year, and 33% of those are coming into the Toronto area and pushing outwards. These are economic immigrants. These are people that are well educated. They come in with money, right? So we look at this and say, okay, it's a simple supply and demand problem, right? We're going to call it a situation where, even if you look longer term, even with these adjustments with interest rates and all these other, government legislation and things they pile on top of us, they cannot stop the upward trend of prices and that challenge of affordable housing for people. Now, what we have done, and this is, we do seminars on this and all kinds of things. We've partnered in with Clover Properties. So I'm sure you're both familiar with Clover. Yeah. They're amazing. And we've been working with them for years. We do deals on a regular basis. And that is taking people who have maybe poor credit, maybe they're self-employed. And these are people that we're able, as long as they have some deposit, I think we're sitting around 30,000 right now as a minimum, we can get them into a house right now. So, that's a question you get over and over from agents, which is, how do I get a client, get a house for this client? Or, I have all these tenants. Well, are we doing the work to make sure that they really are tenants? Yeah. Maybe these are people that if we took them to a mortgage broker or brought them to Clover Properties, you'd actually have a purchase, So
100%. Yeah.
we have to be more creative now, right? This is the time to be creative again. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, you have to be really creative now to make things work. I mean, the lack of inventory that we have, it's these sellers, where are they going to go? Most likely they're not going to qualify for this interest rate that's out there. So they're sitting on it. And, you know, housing starts, I mean, my family, they're developers, builders. It's so expensive to build a house. Builders are not profiting anymore the same way they used to. So it's really expensive out there, and it hasn't helped with the supply of houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting going forward. I think that any agent, even a new agent, a brand new agent getting into the business, they can be successful in this business. They just have to show up every day, do the work, gain more skills, right? Set a schedule, complete those tasks every single day that they need to do, their lead generation, their follow-up, and serving the clients at a higher level, which becomes always what is best for my client, not about what am I going to put in my pocket. And I think that's the bigger thing, you know, going into someone's house. Is this a property we should be selling? Which is, you know, we do a lot of work on investment properties with clients. So, you know, should we be selling this townhouse, or is there enough equity that we can pull that out, put you in with a lender who's going to be able to help you purchase the second property, and then we put an A-rated tenant into your existing property, your current principal residence. So the interesting thing is, you know, even you get these questions like, oh my gosh, you know, what happens? I put this tenant in and the landlord tenancy board.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like the pendulum is just swung way back. Landlords have no power. So what we say is, look, 52% of Canadians are employed by some form of government agency. That's who we put in your rental property. So yes, we are making sure that you are like solid. We don't have issues with tenants. We did 81 leases last year and we vetted to death. Yeah. So
you know what I love? You know what I love about you, Jennifer, is like you have always exuded not only an amazing personality and just a beautiful woman, but your white glove service and what you offer to your client is above and beyond. And I think that's why a lot of clients come back to you for past repeat referral, all of that. But your team. So your team right now is how many?
So I think we're sitting around 40 right now. We just onboarded one more. We have a couple more in the pipeline. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's fun, right? I think the difference is we're choosing people that are really focused, coming from that place of their heart first, and service, like absolutely awesome service. And then I think we've created a system which is anticipating what a client is going to ask us. So if we have a seller or a buyer, what are the questions that we're going to get asked along the process of their listing or their purchase? And we already anticipate that and provide the answers prior to them asking, right? A social media report once a week, a seller report once a week. You know, we have like flowers that get sent on listing. We have special firming gifts. We have closing gifts. So just keeping like a system and a process to how you do everything. And those, you know, handwritten birthday cards that are sent out for each person's birthday, each client that's done a deal with our team, with a gift card in for their preferred coffee house or whatever it is. So I think it's just like going back to like true white glove service. I think that's where so many companies are falling down. Like who's called into the best one for me? I never have issues with customer service but I was on the phone with a gas company last week that I won't mention, and I got hung up on. I asked to speak to someone that could actually help me, and he hung up on me. So
no.
Yeah, for real. So I think we have to get back to a place of offering that amazing customer service, like even through your phone, right? Like this has to swing back because it's gone very much, you know, I think with most companies, it's like you just tolerate, you know, it's like bare scraps of So I think we've worked on raising that standard. And for anybody getting into the business or who's currently in the business that wants to do more deals, help more people, then it's simple. Just wow your clients. Just get out there and just make them so happy.
Yeah.
Right. It's just so fun. It's such a great business.
It's a belly to belly business. It's people. And if you're not a good people person, like where's that going to go? Which sort of goes into the next question, like AI in real estate. Like people will think, oh, this will take over my job. But at the end of the day, you still need to be personable, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've used Ylopo as we tested it out for a year, which does have AI in terms of communication within a CRM. And it was quite good. I know there's a lot of big teams that do use AI. I think it's helpful. It's really helpful because it can basically look at what a client is looking at. Let's say a buyer's looking at properties. It's looking at, they repeatedly look at something with hardwood floors with this type of finishing. And then it will show them more of the same, right? Yeah. So it can actually save us time with that communication. And I think we're a long way off from being replaced, right? Although that may come quickly. When it comes, it'll come.
It'll come. But I think there's always going to be, no matter how much you automate the systems that you have, one of the biggest things that builds loyalty between you and your past clients is the keeping in touch on a regular basis, but a lot of it, the majority of it being personal, not sending something generic or robotic to the client. So I think that's what a lot of agents tend to forget as well, is they just put them in an, email drip campaign and hope that one day when they want to sell their house, they're going to call them.
Yeah.
It's so true. And one thing we train our agents on is, you have your group of buyers you're looking for those buyers that are, looking to make a purchase in the next 30 days. Maybe they've sold, maybe, something's changed in the world, they need to move. So for those clients, we actually set ourselves up on the search, right? So we're not setting the client. So we're looking through and previewing and picking through and then sending the client only what is actually suitable. Because one of the biggest complaints that I hear from, just general clients and customers out there is that no one's actually paying attention to what they were looking for. So just taking that extra time, that extra step, and actually doing the work yourself, right? And then, again, like, how do you prefer to be communicated with? Text, email, phone call. If they want a phone call, then you pick up the phone and say, hey, oh my gosh, I found the most awesome property. You have to see it. I emailed it to you. Let's get on it right away, right? Yeah. And if they don't like to be called, don't call them.
Yeah.
Email them. Stick to their preference, right?
Yeah. Find out how they want to be communicated with.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Nat?
Well, I don't know what else we should talk about. I feel like I could talk to Jennifer all day.
Forever. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, yeah, we're running on time.
Yeah.
And if you could give some advice to agents in today's market, what would that advice be?
So I think the biggest thing is you're going to need to be outstanding, and you're going to need to do the work. So it takes 66 days to form a habit. And if you're not in the habit of, getting on the phone, door knocking, doing some form of lead generation for at least 2 hours a day, 5 days a week with an additional hour of follow-up, then you're not going to have the result. So what I like to say is, okay, if you don't take action today, walk over to your calendar, put a big black X 90 days ahead because you're not getting paid. And if you do that for a week, for 2 weeks, you're going to see 90 days ahead, you're making no money, right? So I think it's just about the consistency. And what we've done is even offered into, it's really for all agents, but we put it in the eXp workplace group as well. For anyone wanting to live dial between 9:30 and 10:30 standard Eastern time, we actually have a Zoom call. So we have Jake on our team, amazing dialer. He actually leads that call. and they all mute. And then when they actually get a live person on, they unmute. So the rest of the group can listen and then learn as to how to handle, questions and objections. Right. So
wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's,
Wow.
it's
Thank
pretty
you, Jen.
easy. It's a very simple business. Very simple.
It is. And it reminds me of so I started 14 years ago and I was a realtor. And I remember everything that you're saying is everything that I was taught back then too. And it was writing those personal notes and being diligent and doing that. But I think agents now, and to Nadia's question, is everyone thinks the market is so easy, or because it was back then. And now it's getting there. It's coming back. There's more inventory, but people are forgetting to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you've both done it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If you stick to the basics every single day and you work on your ability to communicate with people and understand them, DISC training, those 4 distinct personality types, who am I dealing with? I'm a high D, so if a salesperson was calling me and they want to have a long drawn out conversation to give me tons of detail, I'm going to get to a point of okay, enough. I got to get off the phone, right? So understanding that, the DISC training, NLP, understanding people's preferred ways of processing information, right? Are they visual? Are they auditory? Are they kinesthetic? Those are important because when it comes time to present information to them, if you're presenting something to them that should be, on paper in front of them, and you're telling them on the phone, and this is not an auditory processing person, the problem is that they've missed half of what you've said.
Yeah.
And then, a week later, they say, you never said that. That's true. They didn't hear you.
Yeah.
So, this is how all this miscommunication happens and you get into conflict. So I think just that constant higher level of, working on communication, understanding people, and knowing your product, right? What vehicles are there for financing right now? We do monthly seminars. We just did one on it's called the Swift maneuver, or Smith maneuver. Have you seen that? Anyway, it's a whole investment thing. So basically we're looking at how do we help our clients also invest money? How do they buy investment properties? How do they build wealth through real estate? Right. And I think that's the difference, right? So you need to be that person. We encourage our agents to buy an investment property, and that's what a lot of them have been doing. So then they can speak to other people about how to do that, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
One last question before we let you go on to your very busy day. Are you going to shareholders?
Absolutely going to shareholders.
We'll see you there.
Yeah, it'll be so great. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for taking the time.
We appreciate yours, Jen. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.